Welcome to the Blonde Report, where two blondes use their hair color to lure you in, then blow your socks off with their sports knowledge. Here are your hosts, Ashton Warren and Caroline Lindstrom.
Hello, welcome to the Blonde Report. My name is Caroline Lindstrom.
And I'm Ashton Warren. What's up, guys?
Okay, we got a good show for y'all. We've got Jason King, a senior writer from Bleacher Report. He's going to be on the show today in a little bit. My mic is so hot, so I'm going to turn it down. But we're going to
just like you, Caroline.
Oh, thank you. We're going to talk Baylor, TCU, Ohio State, LSU, Clemson. Big matchups this week that can really determine a lot going into the rest of the season.
Definitely.
So we'll go ahead and start with Baylor.
All right. Well, we've got Baylor at Kansas State today, later tonight. Something interesting, I got to talk to Jarrett Stidham's high school head coach at Stephenville. I want to say it was Tuesday morning. Yeah, and I just picked his brain a little bit about what kind of a leader he is and how he is just as a person. And he said, he's a super confident guy. And what was funny is he said he got so much attention before he even took a snap at the varsity level.
Wow.
And he already had about 5 offers from pretty big D1 schools. And he said, as looking back, I don't think I could have handled the attention the way that he handled it. And he was very humble, and he's very team-oriented, not all about himself, which was really good to hear because I know Jarrett just from him being in my class and stuff like that, but it was really good to hear about the type of person he is because I think that determines a lot how you are on the field. Yeah. I mean, if you look at Seth Russell, he's a great guy, and which makes him a great leader
on the field as well.
Right, yeah. Right. And and I also asked Jarrett. I said on Wednesday, I said, "What are you what are you expecting for tomorrow?" And he was like, "Well, I'm just ready to get it over with."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay." And he said, he's just getting so much attention this week.
The bye came at a good time for him to get those extra snaps in, but at the same time, it's caused for everyone just the same question.
And talk about it over and over.
Instead, I'm starting holy cow.
I know.
Figure out what the type of player he is, the type of leader he is.
When Thursday comes, yeah.
Right.
And I think that's why he was just like, I'm just ready to get it over with.
Absolutely. Stidham, so far this season, has completed 85.7% of his passes. He's thrown for 331 yards, had 6 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. He has never thrown more than 10 passes in a game, though. So that's where it becomes interesting, because obviously he's going to throw more than 10 passes.
Right. We don't have much to go off of.
Exactly. So, seeing him for a longer period of time on the field will obviously give us a better we'll just see what type of player he is. The thing that really stings, though, this game is going to be in Manhattan. It is 38 degrees with a 90% chance of rain.
That's insane. No, and if you look at the weather forecast for the entire week, it's totally great.
Yeah.
Except for Thursday.
Except for that night. So that's such a bummer. But here's the thing that I am holding on to. Obviously, Baylor's run game is huge. They're effective. They can plow through the middle of the field. They've got this in the middle of the field. Try not to be biased here, but
that's hard.
But we do have both weapons of passing game and rushing game. Mm-hmm. So thankfully, a game like this, when 90% chance of rain, hopefully we can just shove it down their throats, and that's what I expect Baylor to do. Bill Snyder has been watching film of Stidham from high school because there's not that much
right
about him, from Baylor.
Right.
Also, funny tidbit I heard on Craig's show. The year Stidham was born, Bill Snyder was preparing for his 8th season at Kansas State. So the age gap between these two people is crazy, and it just,
that's insane.
It kind of brought to life. Good night.
How old Bill Snyder is?
Well, yeah, but also how young Stidham is. Stidham, I say that wrong every time. But it's just, it's crazy.
Yeah.
He is young, but I'm
intense.
excited to see his tenacity on the field, like everyone's been saying. K-State is on a 4-game losing streak. This hasn't happened since 2005. We touched on that last week. Joe Huebner, K-State's quarterback, has shown he is a competitor, and he will push his team to the limits. But at the same time, it's been the complete opposite of that too.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
against TCU, they put up I have it on here somewhere, 45 points. So you know they've put up big numbers before.
They're just so,
and then they've gotten shut out by OU.
yeah. They're not consistent.
Mm-hmm.
So you never know what's going to happen. You never know which team's going to show up, as you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, their defense is allowing on average 417 yards, and I expect that's equivalent to Baylor's rushing game normally.
Right, right.
You know, maybe a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, so I just saying what Baylor will cling on to is their run game, obviously, in a game of rain and stuff like that. And I think that's enough to beat K-State the way they've looked the past 4 losses. So.
And especially, I don't know, Jason King later on was talking about, you'll see his interview later on or hear it, and the fact that he was talking about some kids might go to a Thursday game more. I don't think I would. See, and that's my thing. Like, I don't know if it was a Thursday game, the atmosphere, like, I mean, obviously I would go because we are a great team and we are playoff contenders.
Right.
But if I'm Kansas State, I got class tomorrow at 8.
Yeah, but do you remember several years ago, Baylor played OU on a Thursday at home? It was the first blackout game we ever had. It was nuts. It was so fun.
I probably don't remember it.
Yeah. Yeah. Took the blackout a little too seriously that time. I have Baylor winning. I think they'll be able to pull it out. I'm so excited to see Stidham play.
I am too.
More than 10 snaps, you know?
Oh my gosh, I am so pumped. No, I've got Baylor winning, definitely.
Yeah. All right, we will move on to TCU.
Moving on.
OSU. OSU still undefeated. They beat Tech last week, 70-53. Came back from a 17-point deficit with their backup quarterback, J.W. Walsh. If you watch our MySpace Top 8 friends, he was one of our top.
Woo! I feel like these people need to we need to tag them on Twitter or something. They really need to
know.
They need to know that they're in our MySpace Top 8, and it's a really big privilege because I mean,
You're welcome.
my friends, you know, I only have the best of the best in my clique.
Click.
Ain't nobody when them. Okay, yeah, I can't even sing it because there are so many bad words in this song.
OSU put up 662 yards of offense. This is on Tech's defense. And TCU's defense.
Tech's non-existing defense.
Exactly. TCU's defense, although they were bogged down with injuries, they've really come back. And so I think...
I'm surprised how well they've done defensively.
Right. No, they've definitely... You know, they gave up 45 points to... Oh, I'm talking TCU's defense. They gave up 45 points to K-State. But, you know, I think... I don't know. There's no way OSU's defense can stop Boykin and Doxson and Aaron Green.
They just have such an explosive offense. It's just insane. And this is one of the best games, or the best game in Big 12 this week. And now OSU, I think, is definitely a team. You know, before I was talking OU or OSU. It's OSU now. Mm-hmm. OSU is definitely in the running for the Big 12 title and in the running for a playoff spot, in my opinion.
If they win out, yeah. And like we said last week, OSU has TCU, OU, Baylor, I think Iowa State at home. Mm-hmm. So they've got that
to their advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they hang on with TCU, that's just going to make them, you know, look even better probably. And I think then they've got Baylor at home. If they could beat Baylor, then they're jumping Baylor's gun for sure.
And the thing is, though, with TCU at OSU, Stillwater is a hard place to play. Mm-hmm. And with TCU's defense, and I mean, they have done okay, but I think it is going to catch up with them, and I think that they are going to lose at some point. Now, I'm not saying that because I'm biased towards Baylor. I'm saying that because I truly believe that their defense is going to be, you know, run down a little bit. And so I think maybe this is a place that they might lose, in my opinion. Just
Possibly, but TCU also blew out West Virginia and Texas, who OSU went into overtime versus West Virginia and barely by the grace of a punter dropping the ball, beat Texas.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, that's true.
when you look at those, but the Big 12 has been so inconsistent.
They have,
this year.
and they're really starting. I think OSU is really starting to get in the rhythm a little bit. So, but yeah, like you're saying, they have been so inconsistent. The only teams that have really been consistent are
TCU and Baylor.
But TCU early in the season barely beating mediocre teams. I mean, it's just, I don't know what's going on with the Big 12, but they need to wrap things up and get it together here.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with this one. I'm going to pick TCU.
I think TCU is going to win in a close shootout situation.
The thing about OSU, though, is the fact that they did come back from a 17-point deficit in Lubbock last week shows their competitiveness. And obviously, they're not gonna go to sleep against TCU.
No, oh no.
So I'm excited for this game.
I'm
Hopefully
excited
it'll be a
too.
close one. I picked TCU. You picked TCU. We will go now to Ohio State and Minnesota. We will go now to Ohio State and Minnesota. Minnesota beat Michigan. No, Minnesota lost to Michigan.
Yeah.
But it was so close.
It was close.
I was hanging on with it. I was like, come on. I don't know why I wanted Michigan to lose, but I did. Minnesota also, their head coach, Jerry Kill, stepped down. We meant to touch on this last week, but we forgot. I have several friends that played for Minnesota, and they both said what an awesome guy Kill was, what a great leader and on the field and off the field that he was. I'm excited that they hung on, though, to Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
With their head coach stepping down. That's really cool.
That is cool.
We'll see what they can do with Ohio State. I think Ohio State will still win this game.
I think Ohio State's definitely winning this game. I mean, it's at home. The Horseshoes, it's a tough place to play. In Ohio State, they rarely lose.
Yeah.
At home.
They've won 9 straight games against Minnesota.
So I really just, and Minnesota's
also,
having
Ohio
a tough
State's
break.
coming off a bye, which is incredible timing for them.
Yeah.
But Urban Meyer is 41-3 off of bye weeks.
Well, okay then.
So Ohio State is probably going to win. However, the fact that Minnesota hung on with Michigan last week, I think speaks a lot about who
they are as a team. Yeah.
But Ohio State has so many weapons, and that's the thing Minnesota's lacking is weapons. They don't have all the Braxton Millers and the Ezekiel Elliott's. And, JT Barrett obviously isn't playing from suspension, but then we'll go
news
to
this past week.
Yeah, that was a funny thing to wake up to.
Yeah. JT Barrett, you're not making the smartest of decisions young
dude.
sir.
Get an Uber.
Yeah, this is why we have Ubers.
Yeah. Although Ole Miss doesn't have Uber.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised Waco has Uber.
Exactly. I was like, Ole Miss doesn't have Uber?
And no, I rode in the most awesome Uber in Waco, and he had iPads in the back of his seat, so you can play your own music. Yeah, so people in Waco, you better be using Ubers, because there's some great Ubers in Waco.
I live for them. Ohio State ranking 3rd in the college football playoff rankings that came out.
Yeah, how about that?
So we forgot to touch on that, but Baylor obviously 6th. If they win, they win. If they win out, in my mind, there's no way they can't be put in. So.
Honestly, I don't know. I don't even know at this point if winning out is all it's going to take, because to be honest, something's going to have to change. They're putting way too much value in the strength of schedule, and that's going to have to...
way too much value into brand names.
Oh, yeah, into SEC names. Yeah, Alabama. I mean, it's whoever's going to... Honestly, I think it's whoever's going to make them money, and whoever... I mean, and like Jason King said later on... Sorry, I'm saying Jason King's whole interview before you even hear it. But he was saying, if Texas... was in our position. If we were Texas, Baylor was Texas, they would be in the top 4.
Yeah. No, it's
Texas, I mean.
They've got the brand name that everyone loves.
Right.
Ohio State leads the Big Ten in scoring with averaging 38 points a game. Rushing wise, 247 yards per game. Oh, yeah, that was right. Total offense with 464 points per game. Minnesota's defense gives up 24 points a game, which obviously Ohio State, I feel like, is going to put that stat to shame.
Oh, yeah.
So when like we said, when they have as many weapons as Ohio State does, you just can't. I don't know. Can't compete against the Minnesotas of the world.
No.
So Ohio State, you pick Ohio State too.
Yes, they win easily.
I hope Minnesota can hang on for.
Why? What is your tie to Minnesota?
My roommate's from Minnesota.
I'm sitting here. Oh, I really wanted them to win against Michigan.
And I don't think
you have a soft spot in your heart for Minnesota.
For the Golden Gophers.
Have you ever been there?
Yes.
Okay, well then, if you had never been there, I'd have been I've never been there.
Yeah, I went to Minnesota this summer and it was really cool. I haven't been to a game, but.
Well, hey, okay, that's as long as you've been there.
I have.
Okay, cool.
Blarney's. It's a cool place.
Blarney's?
It's their campus bar.
Of course.
Okay, next game. Oh, not our last game, but our next game, the site of College Game Day this week, LSU versus Alabama. LSU and Alabama both making the college football playoffs at the 3 spot and the 4 spot.
LSU's number 2.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. 2 and 4. Clemson being
2, 4, 6, 8. Sorry, I was a cheerleader.
LSU obviously having Leonard Fournette, what can this guy not do? He's averaging 193 rushing yards per
He's
day.
the Superman of college football.
Who would be Spider-Man then?
Spider-Man would be
Corey
Coleman. Actually, is he a spider type, or is he more of
he just all of a sudden jets out and
no, he's totally a spider
how did
type.
You get from the line of scrimmage to the 20-yard
Yeah,
line?
it's because he has the little
webs,
and he just goes. Yeah, I don't even know how these things come to our heads right now. But no, I mean he's he's the Spider-Man of college football, and Fournette's the Superman.
Yeah, Alabama's has the 3rd ranked rush defense, 4th ranked total defense. So the biggest thing here is going to be if their defense can shut down LSU's run game.
Right. And the quarterback for LSU, Brandon Harris, he's been heavily criticized this season because his 2 road games, he threw for 71 yards against Mississippi State and 170 yards against Syracuse. Now, Alabama has a very talented secondary, like you said, and that'll make things hard developing LSU the pass offense.
Yeah. The winner of this game totally shapes, in my mind, the
playoffs. Yeah.
It'll be really interesting to see Alabama's defense can hold strong.
Whoever loses, I think, will be out
of the playoffs.
No, out of the top. Well, if Alabama loses, I think they're going to move down. If Baylor wins, I think we're going to move up. Now, actually, I don't know. They love Alabama so much, so I don't know.
Absolutely.
It might just if Alabama loses.
The thing is, if Alabama loses, they're losing to a number 4 team.
Right.
If Baylor wins, they're beating an unranked team. So
Alabama's losing to a number 2 team. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Number 4 in AP 2 in the
right. That's true. Rankings. I don't know.
So I don't.
Who do you see being out? Well, how do you see it shaping up for next?
Ouch. My earrings hurt.
Girl problems.
I don't know. That's totally, you got to see
the games.
They base everything off of game control and the eye test, the crazy stuff that they made up last year.
The things that never existed before the college football playoff existed.
Exactly.
No one knew what an eye test was.
You have to just wait and watch the games, and then I don't know. I'll tweet out who I think is going to be in after the games. How about that?
Okay, I'll wait for that, Caroline.
People waiting for Kirk Herbstreit.
I think that no matter what happens, there are going to be teams like Alabama in the college football playoff because number 1, Alabama shouldn't even be there in the first place.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing that really bugs me is they lost to Ole Miss at home by 2 touchdowns. If that happened to Baylor,
we wouldn't even be considered. No. We'd be out forever. They'd be like, okay, you're done. Bye.
Right. So that's the thing that gets me. I have a vendetta against the college football
I do too. I'd like to meet these people. Yeah. I would like to legitimately meet all of them and be like, okay, I know I don't know as much as you do about football, but
yeah.
I'm going to tell you some things.
LSU is the SEC's only unbeaten team at this point. So if they win, I think they're going to remain up there. If they win, I can almost see them
going to number one.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see how Ohio State compares to Minnesota.
I agree.
So I don't know who I have winning this game. I'm going to go with Alabama. They've won the past 4 meetings between the two teams. But you don't know. When you've got Fournette and players like that, I don't know. They could shut them down.
I think Alabama, their defense, I think they do just enough against Fournette, and I think they're going to win close, but I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Interesting. We're not used to those low-scoring games.
No, we're not. Not at all.
The Big 12.
Nope.
Our last game is Clemson. Number 3, Clemson. Number 1, Clemson in the playoff committee.
Right.
Size.
16, FSU.
Clemson and Florida State. Clemson 11-0, and they are obviously favored in this game against Florida State. Florida State's Dalvin Cook and Everett Golson are both most likely not going to play. They're injured. But I think they said Golson today didn't get cleared again. But we'll see about Dalvin Cook. I haven't seen any official reports yet if he's coming back yet. Florida State also has 2 linemen who are injured. So the fact that their offense has taken so many blows.
They're going to need a big game from running back Dalvin Cook if he goes. Did you say he's going, or we haven't heard?
We haven't heard.
Okay, well, hopefully they're going to need him in. They're going to need him healthy.
Yeah. Last week they played Sean McGuire, and the backup quarterback, instead of Golson, and he actually did it really well. He's able to complete the deep ball, which is something Golson totally struggles on. Clemson has given up 22 completions of 20 yards or more. Mm-hmm. So the way that Florida State beats Clemson is deep balls and just pound their secondary constantly. But I'm about to rattle off like a poop ton of facts, okay? Just because this is actually crazy when I found all this.
I'm buckling my seatbelt.
Yeah, buckle. Okay, total offense, 19. Rushing offense, 19. This is Clemson, by the way, all of them. Pass efficiency, 13. Scoring offense, 11. Total defense, 5th. Rushing defense, 14th. Passing defense, 11th. Pass efficiency, 8th. Scoring defense, 19th. 4th down offense, 6th. 3rd down offense, 19. 3rd down defense, 1st. Kick returns, 19. First down defense, 1st.
Well then.
So Clemson.
Good for you, Clemson.
Clemson is as well balanced of a team as you want, especially with last week we had Deshaun Watson on our MySpace Top 8 friends, and I think he's proving why he should be in the running for Heisman. With Dalvin Cook injured, I think and Seth Russell injured, I think that kind of opens a window for him to slip in. So this will be a big game for him.
Definitely.
To see if he can, shut down Florida State.
All right, that wraps up. Caroline's looking at Snapchat right now, even though we're doing a show. Snapchat, okay? Anyways, that wraps up our games of the week.
Our picks.
Yes, and also something I wanted. Let me see your phone. Okay, so Caroline texted me this. What day was it?
Sunday.
So Sunday, Caroline was working at ESPN Central Texas and texted me a picture of actually it was a video of a snake. Now, it was a garden snake. If you know what they look like,
they're a copper-headed boa moccasin.
They're pretty. Wait, how the heck do you know that?
Copper-headed boa moccasin is not a real thing.
Okay, it was so good. Well, I had no idea. I don't know anything about snakes. So
it's like about 4 feet long, and it was in my studio.
It was a garden snake.
It was huge.
It was a garden, and it's very tiny. Anyways, Caroline, she tried to kill it with what?
With this big stick. And you see, my thing is, I hate being able to feel I don't know. I didn't so I tried to hit its head, but you gotta keep it on there, the stick. So I smashed the stick down, but I am watching it obviously, and it starts flipping around. I can feel its bones
It doesn't have bones. Oh my God.
I could feel like the snake and the stick and like moving, and it was. I just screamed. So yeah, you'll hear it.
If these people didn't think we were blonde before, they definitely do now.
I don't know the anatomy of snakes.
Anyways, here's Caroline's scream. So she's
I was crying
and she's about to kill the snake. Wait for it.
I've tried really hard to kill it because my boss hates snakes. So I sent him the video and I said I tried my best.
Oh my gosh! But that scream it sounds like you're about to get murdered.
Yeah, well, I thought he was gonna bite me.
Well, you're alive and you're here. Thankfully, she's here to still do the podcast, and we have Jason King from Bleacher Report, senior writer. He's coming up next. We are joined today by Jason King, a senior writer for Bleacher Report.
He's located in Kansas, so we thought, Baylor playing K-State.
Why not give him a call?
Yeah, we'll hit him up. So first of all, we just want to start off by talking the college football playoff rankings came out. What did you think of where each team is ranked?
I thought it was pretty disappointing. I mean, and if you're a Baylor fan, though, I wouldn't be too worried. I mean, last year at this time, when we didn't really know how it worked, and we were kind of trying to figure out what they were doing, it would have been more frustrating. But even though it was kind of unsettling to see them at 6, I still think that, if they went out and they win all their games, they're going to be fine. So, and I think Art Briles knows that, too. It's what he said all season. As long as we go undefeated, we're going to be in the top 4, and I think that'll hold true. But I do think it's disappointing when you see a school like Alabama with one loss, still get in there, and everyone wants to talk about Ohio State, but I don't think their resume is that great either. I mean, the teams that they're beating and teams in their conference aren't very good either, and I didn't think their non-conference slate was all that great. But there does seem to be a slant against schools like Baylor and TCU, not the name schools. It seems like they really want the power schools to be up in there, which is maybe one of the reasons Baylor was left out of the top 4 a year ago. Part of me thinks if Texas or Oklahoma were undefeated right now, with Baylor's same schedule, they'd be in the top 4. So it's a frustrating situation to deal with if you're a Baylor fan, but again, I don't think there'll be any way to deny them if they win all their games.
Jason, my question is, why exactly are the rankings so different from the AP poll?
Yeah, well, I think the AP poll, I think a lot of the voters in that, first of all, there's a lot of people that vote in the AP poll that probably don't watch the games that closely. I've never liked it that much. I mean, you could have some sports writer up in Spokane, Washington, voting on Big 12 teams he's never seen play. I think the AP poll is kind of comprised of too many people. But at the same time, I think a lot of the voters in the AP poll are really impressed by Baylor, that they've seen, their offense, and they're remembering too what they did last year, how good they were a season ago. And this is a lot of the same players. I think that the committee that's choosing the rankings that came out yesterday, it's a small group of people, and they're weighing a lot of other things besides just what they're seeing on TV. They're looking at the strength of schedule. They're looking at common opponents and stuff. Where I think people that vote in the AP people are just saying, hey, who's the best team? So let's rank the best teams in order to beat the best. And I think that's the biggest difference.
Jason, Kansas State is a team who, was in it tight with TCU, and then they ended up losing that game. But then they got completely blown out of the water by OU. What Kansas State team do you think will show up against Baylor?
I think it's kind of a scary game for Baylor. I mean, certainly it could be a blowout, but, Bill Snyder has been so good through the years, and like you said, we've seen Kansas State play at a pretty high level this season. I mean, they could have beaten both TCU and Oklahoma State, came down to the wire in both of those games, and those are 2 undefeated teams, so wouldn't shock me if that K-State team showed up. And the thing about Kansas State, when it comes to a talent level, they don't belong on the same field as Baylor. I mean, Baylor is much more talented, much faster, much deeper. But Kansas State is very fundamentally sound. I mean, Baylor's a team that gets a ton of penalties every game. Kansas State doesn't do that. Baylor misses a lot of tackles. Kansas State doesn't do that. They're not going to beat themselves. But I think the reason they've lost here recently is just I think their talent years. But again, the minute you sleep on a Bill Snyder team, you're gonna get beat. And also, I think sometimes Thursday night games are scary. It seems like so many Thursday nights you watch a game on TV and the crowd is juiced, all the students are there. Just I don't know if the moon's full or what, but a lot of crazy things are going to happen on Thursday night. So I'm hoping Baylor will be really dialed in, and I think they will. Especially with the new quarterback under center, and they've had a little bit longer to prepare for this one, which is good too, especially with the turnover at quarterback.
Now, give us a little idea on what kind of environment Baylor is going into when they step onto the field in Manhattan.
Yeah, I'm actually curious myself. When they're good, it's one of the tougher places to play. In the conference, they sell out most every game. And again, I think some students are more apt to go to a game on Thursday night than they are on Saturday afternoon sometimes. So I do think it'll be energized, or at least it should be. But there's a part of me that wonders if the recent struggles has caused some a little bit of pessimism among the fan base. If people are kind of bailing on the team, it looks like their chances of going to a bowl are really dwindling. And some people may have kind of given up on the year. And couple that with the fact that I think people up at Kansas State probably think Baylor might roll over them. It's going to be a blowout. Whatever. That might be kind of the narrative going around Manhattan right now. So maybe it won't be quite as good as it's been in the past. It definitely won't be quite as good as it usually is when Kansas State's in the top 25 team.
One last question for you. Stidham obviously starting this week, his first game under center as starting. And Bill Snyder, they said earlier this week, he has been watching game film of Stidham in high school because there's not that much game film of him at Baylor yet. Do you think that is a benefit to Kansas State, to Baylor, the fact that Stidham hasn't been seen that much, or do you think that it's going to be rocky his first game as a starter?
Well, it probably does help that there's not a lot of tape to study on him, but I think at the end of the day, how he performs is going to kind of depend on him, and how he handles the nerves of being a starter, especially starting his first game on the road against a team that's usually pretty good. And there's obviously going to be butterflies and stuff. At the end of the day, he's a very, I think, is going to be a very good quarterback. And I'm basing that just on what people have told me. Art Briles, I was in his office back in August doing a story on Sean Oakman, and I turned off my tape recorder and I asked him about Stidham. We were just kind of BSing, and he goes, he's probably going to be the best quarterback I've ever coached. That's what he said. And when you consider, the Robert Griffins of the world and the Bryce Pettys and stuff, that's a pretty bold statement. Although I do think that Stidham is probably a much different quarterback than the Robert Griffin, so you kind of hate to compare those two because their styles are so different. But another interesting tidbit was David Beatty, who's the head coach at Kansas. When Stidham was in high school, Beatty was an offensive coordinator, maybe he was the receivers coach, whatever, at Texas A&M. Either way, he was recruiting Stidham for Texas A&M. And he said when they watch players on tape and they give them grades when they recruit, he goes, he's never had a recruit as a quarterback grade out as high as Stidham. In years and years of recruiting, he said he graded out higher than any quarterback he's ever recruited. And that says quite a bit. I think that the guy is going to do a great job. I think coming up there in the spring, missing his second semester of his senior year and coming in and enrolling at Baylor. He's been around a while, even though he is a true freshman. So I'm really not that worried about him. What I'm worried about is him getting hurt, because I think if he were to get hurt, I think that would really be a problem for Baylor, because I don't think they have much else in reserve after that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Jason.
No problem. Call back anytime. Look forward to meeting you too.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.